Officers, get the knife! Got the f***ing knife now! Get down! Put the knife down on the floor! Put it down! Get out! On the floor! Get on the floor now! On the floor! Get down! On the floor! Show us now what I can see I'm doing now!
One of the major problems all over the world is the use of force and complaints lodged against police officers. Some of them are contentious, some of them are not and justified, but the lack of evidence on whether police are behaving with misconduct is not clear. Body-worn videos are supposed to give that solution.
You know what? Hang on, he's fine.
No handcuffs and no...
Right, just leave him for a minute, please.
We have footage by mobile phones or partial cameras of people walking by, and they only capture the evidence from the story from where they turned on the cameras. People don't walk around with the cameras on. But the body-worn video introduces a way to show the evidence not just from the officer's perspective, but from the very beginning of the story.
Get in trouble. Hey, just sit down real quick. Hey, no, I'm not going to arrest you. I need to find out what's going on. Sir. Paul 20, he's trying to swing at me. Come here. Sit down. Sit down. Sit down. Get on my bumper, Joe.
And we conducted nearly 30 trials, randomized controlled trials all over the world, to test the effect on body-worn videos and their effect on policing, on professionalizing this institution, and making sure that the use of force is measured in a reliable way. One of the impetus, or one of the major reasons for this driver has been an experiment that we conducted in Rialto, California with Chief Tony Ferrar, in which we have tested the effect of body-worn videos on police officers and whether wearing these cameras would reduce use of force and reduce complaints against officers. That research has sparked interest all over the world by practitioners and academics.
We produced the first solid scientific evidence that body-worn videos had an effect on police relations with citizens. Now, that was picked up by a federal judge in a case against the New York City Police Department. And what happened next is that everybody in England, as well as in the United States, started talking about body-worn videos. It spread like wildfire across the United States, where now you have in Washington State police officers saying things like, I wouldn't leave the station without either my gun or my camera. In fact, I'd rather leave without my gun, but I don't want to leave without my camera, because that's what can save me from being indicted for murder.
And here's what you're going to do, Douglas. You're going to lay there and you're not going to move, you understand? Don't move. Put your hands on your back, Douglas.
The initial results from a 12-month experiment over hundreds and hundreds of shifts with roughly 45,000 interactions between police officers in Rialto and members of the public has been fairly consistent across time to show that there's a major reduction in use of force when you're comparing the shifts when officers were wearing the cameras and those shifts that officers were not wearing the cameras. About 60%, 50%. You could also have an analysis when you compare the before period, the years before the experiment and the experimental year, and you can still see the 50-60% reduction in use of force. What was really interesting was the reduction in the complaints filed against Rialto police officers, which was reduced to about 90%. So that was a major reduction in complaints against officers. And the latest results, which by the way comes from the largest randomized controlled trial in the history of criminal justice research, has shown that the use of body-worn videos is associated with a 93% reduction in public complaints against the police. West Yorkshire Police, as far as I can tell, is the largest site in which an experiment is conducted on body-worn videos more than anywhere else, by sheer numbers and the number of cameras that are deployed. One interesting element is that they're looking beyond the question of use of force and complaint, but they're looking into technology as well. That involvement is not only giving a push to other forces to implement their own research, but it's also providing very interesting and valuable information, not only on the cameras, but on this collaboration between academic institutions and police in a way that I've never seen.
It's very early days for us. What I can say at this stage is that complaints from the public against police response officers are down by 62%, and that's in the context of a stable trend for overall within West Yorkshire. Anecdotally, in terms of bringing offenders to justice, our Crown Prosecution Service have said to us on numerous occasions that the video footage has tipped the balance in favour of prosecution, whereas without it they may not have prosecuted. And also, again anecdotally, we're getting more early guilty pleas from suspects, which saves the victim the trauma of having to go to court and give evidence.
Body-worn video has already shown some huge benefits to policing, to victims and to witnesses in domestic violence situations, antisocial behaviour, public order. It's already shown its worth in providing clear, credible, irrefutable evidence from scenes of exactly what's happened.
Oh, hello, Max.
I've asked this man to leave my home. He's in there, he don't see me, he stinks and everything. I just want him to leave my home.
It's very important to distinguish between two elements. One is the capacity to record, and the other is the capacity to store. And it's critically important to distinguish between the two, because that has implications on human rights. In many ways, you can and should record everything. But what you save, what you keep as evidence, is a distinctly different question. Certainly if you have evidence of crime, you should keep that. But you don't have anything to record or keep and store, you shouldn't keep that around. So the retention policy is critically important. One of the major questions that are now being asked, especially in the days of austerity, is what is the cost-to-benefit ratio of using body-worn videos? I could tell the answer for Rialto because we've done some analysis and we found that for every $1 that you spend on body-worn videos, you save about $4 on complaints litigations. So about 4-to-1 ratio. But bearing in mind the technology back then and the cost of the cameras back then has dramatically reduced since. So I suspect that the ratio is even higher these days. One interesting nuance of the study so far has shown an increase in attacks on officers who wear body-worn videos. It seems critically important to follow protocol and to switch on cameras from the very beginning of an interaction. But we need to find out more about this. We need to conduct further analysis before we can confirm these results.
Downstairs, here, 5 Delta.
Please, now. Yes, now. Ambulance, now.
In the past we had whistles to call for help. We then had 2Ps and telephone boxes. We've then introduced radios. And then recently we've had a digitalisation programme within policing. And I see this now as being the next large transformational step in policing. In the future, I think the public will accept it as a standard piece of kit for police officers. But it is a step forward that we need to take, and we need to take it now.
Body-worn videos are promising. They're a way into the future, combining technology, advanced technology, and policing. It's critically important that we better understand how body-worn videos can affect the relationship between the communities and the police. But we're not there yet. We need to better understand this. We need the evidence.
Tipping points are good epidemics in which all of a sudden people start doing something that's much better than what they were doing before, like quitting smoking or not drinking and driving. And what you might think is the body-worn video camera on the police is the good epidemic. But actually, that would be to forget the role that experiments have played. Because in some places, it may be that it's a bad idea to be wearing body-worn videos. And the only way you can find that out is to keep doing these tests in different kinds of places. The good epidemic here is not the cameras, it's the testing. And that will be a tipping point for evidence-based policing itself.